Episode 1, Unspoken Moments. Why Alex fell for Marsia before he ever saw her. Welcome to Episode 1. Today we're exploring something deeply human, the psychology of unspoken romantic gestures, those quiet, invisible moments that say everything without a single word. And to bring this to life, we're stepping into the emotional world of my story, Stolen Moments, where Alex falls for Marsia long before he ever sees her face, long before he even understands why. Psychologists say that attraction often begins in silence, not in the words we speak, but in the energy we give off. A lingering pause, a shift in tone, a softness in the voice, a moment that feels strangely familiar. These micro-gestures bypass logic and go straight to the emotional brain. That's why people say, "I don't know why, but something about them pulled me in." It's not magic, it's psychology. In Stolen Moments, Alex doesn't fall for Marsia because of her appearance. He doesn't fall because of a smile or a touch. He falls because of her voice. A simple mistake, a misdial, becomes the moment that changes everything. Her voice carries warmth, vulnerability, and a softness he didn't know he needed. It reaches him in a place he thought was closed off. Psychologists call this affective resonance, when someone's emotional tone aligns with yours so perfectly that your heart reacts before your mind can explain it. But to understand why Marsia's voice affected him so deeply, you have to understand where Alex was emotionally. Because sometimes, the deepest loneliness happens inside a relationship. Alex and Christine looked perfect from the outside. They were the golden couple, the couple everyone admired, the couple that looked stable, successful, enviable. They lived together. They shared a life. They shared routines. They shared a home. But they didn't share a connection anymore. Inside that home, something was missing. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. Like a light that used to shine, but now flickered. Alex later admits to Marsia that he was showing up for appearances. He was performing the role society expected him to play. Because society loves a perfect couple. Because the environment around him, friends, family, expectations, made it easier to act than to be honest. Sometimes, we stay in relationships not because we're fulfilled, but because we're afraid of disappointing the world around us. Alex wasn't in love, he was in character. And then, Marsia's voice entered his life. A simple mistake, a number dialed by accident, a moment that should have meant nothing, but it meant everything. The week after hearing her voice, Alex wasn't himself. Something had taken over him, a pull he couldn't explain, a curiosity he couldn't silence. He kept replaying the sound of her voice in his mind, not the words, the warmth, the honesty, the softness he didn't have in his own life. It was like her voice woke up a part of him he had buried under routine and expectations. Eventually, he called her back. He pretended it was innocent. He pretended he just wanted to understand how the mistake happened. But Marsia had already explained it to Christine. She had already apologized. She had already moved on. Alex hadn't. He called again and again. The third time, he finally confessed the truth he didn't want to admit even to himself. "Marsia, I can't help myself. We've never seen each other, but I feel like I know you." Marsia tried to shut it down. She tried to protect herself. She tried to protect him. "I called your number by mistake. You don't know me, I don't know you. Please don't call me again." But did he stop? No. Because something in him had already shifted. Something he couldn't control. Something he couldn't silence. This wasn't about logic. This wasn't about intention. This was about emotional recognition. The moment when your heart identifies someone long before your mind understands why. Alex wasn't chasing Marsia. He was chasing the part of himself that woke up when he heard her voice. And before we close episode 1, I want to leave you with something meaningful. Sometimes in life, we meet people who remind us of who we really are. people who awaken something inside us: courage, softness, curiosity, truth. These connections don't always arrive at the right time. They don't always make sense. But they teach us something powerful: that we deserve to feel alive, seen, and emotionally connected. And that it's never too late to listen to the parts of ourselves we've been ignoring. If this episode touched you, inspired you, or made you think about your own unspoken moments, make sure you subscribe. Your support helps this story grow, and I'd love for you to be part of this journey from the very beginning. Join me in episode 2, where we explore Marsia's side of the story, her fears, her boundaries, and the emotional storm she never asked.